Hello everybody, how are we doing? Now I come with breaking news, and that news is that there is no easy way to recover. When you look at getting better from OCD, a chronic anxiety disorder, you can't half-heartedly get there. And OCD won't budge. Nothing will shift unless you put that hard grind in, that show real grit and determination to get better. Otherwise, nothing will change. You're gonna have to make huge behavioral changes, big shifts in your thinking. You're gonna have to really think quite philosophically about things in quite a deep way. You can't just scratch the surface when it comes to breaking down your core fears. You can't just write a one-line sentence in your disputing. You can't just write one rational belief and one rational statement that you've copied from the first book on our reading list and hope for OCD to budge. For OCD to budge, it's going to take consistency and it's going to take persistent practice as well. Because all you're doing, you're showing your brain why what it's latched to, it doesn't warrant that kind of activated anxiety response. So when you look at what OCD is, it's a fear cycle. Without fear, OCD doesn't exist, right? If you weren't scared of something, OCD wouldn't latch to it. So when you're looking at your beliefs, you're trying to view it in a way where you can become less scared of that particular thing. And you can't just approach it with a half-hearted mindset, a half-hearted approach, a wishy-washy approach of, oh, if I just give myself the odd reassurance on it and say everything will be okay and everything will be fine and just sort of just touching the surface, not really getting under it, then OCD won't budge, it won't move, it won't just, you can't just outgrow OCD, it won't just pass like the common cold. What you've got to remember is that it's going to take real grit as you tackle these beliefs. And as you tackle these beliefs, you're going to have to confront fears that you find very scary. And you're going to have to think deeper. You're going to have to dig deep in your thinking. This is why the books are key, especially the third book, The Myth of Self-Esteem. That opens up your thinking, that expands your knowledge on how you can think about things a lot differently. Because unfortunately, if you just stick to the same rigid, irrational, crooked black and white beliefs, then OCD is going to stay locked on. And if you start watching this video thinking, why is nothing changing? Why am I still feeling the same? Why am I not seeing any results? Why am I not seeing any long-lasting, sustainable progress? Well, it's probably because you're not changing enough. It's probably because the beliefs are still very rigid. Perhaps you don't want it enough. Perhaps the compulsions are still being performed. Perhaps the behaviours are the same as when you first came in. Perhaps you haven't really made any structural, habitual changes. That can often be the case as well. I think people underestimate what's required to actually get better and stay better and ultimately recover from OCD. And it took me a while to realise this. I'd say it took me about at least a year, 12 to 18 months to realise the actual grit required to get better. I had to make it a life goal. I had to make it a priority, right? I couldn't recover the easy way. I couldn't just lazily, easily, comfortably recover. I had to show so much tolerance to discomfort and frustration. You know, when I had chronic guilt and shame with POCD, real event, false memory OCD, I couldn't see a way out of the guilt. I couldn't. You know, there was many moments where I thought I was going to be trapped in that chronic locked on guilt sensation where my whole body felt weighed down, just that vice locked on in your mind. I couldn't see a way out of that. And the most deflating part of all of that was that even when I was starting to see things a bit differently from a philosophical standpoint and my perspectives were beginning to shift, I still felt like shit. Now, when I meet people with OCD, you know, I met Moman a couple of weeks ago in Dubai, and one thing that really stands out is that, and I've met Elliot, I've met Gemma, I've met Phil, and one thing that really stands out is you can tell this person has been through a lot mentally, and that's hard to sort of put that into words. It's hard to sort of picture that because when you're suffering from OCD, it's not just, oh, that guy's now thinking rationally. Oh, that lady's now cutting compulsions or no compulsions. That lady has done all those exposures. One thing that I can sense is just that person has been through the wars. That person's been on the battlefield, right? And that comes via self-assuredness, self-confidence. You can tell they're oozing with self-acceptance and just sort of backing themselves, quite decisive and so on, right? You can just sort of sense that as you're at the other end. And what I'm trying to say here is not, oh, look at me, I'm recovered. I'm trying to show you that to get to a place of recovery and in a stable place mentally with your mental health and OCD, you're going to have to really make a big change. Changes to your lifestyle, changes to your habits, your behaviours. These compulsions need to be cut down as if your life's on the line. Because I don't want you going to the grave thinking, oh, about the what ifs. If only I just cut that compulsion. If only if I just did that exposure. If only I took the risk. If only I just took that leap of faith. I don't want that. Okay, so you're going to have to really cut compulsions as if your life is on the line. And you're going to have to change your thinking. If you can't change your thinking, you're knackered. You're done. You're done. You're finished. Because OCD will not shift on mild belief changes. It won't, because OCD knows exactly what you're scared of. It's one step ahead of you. It's 10 times smarter than you. It's in your head. It's in you. It's in there, right? And it's scouring your belief systems. It's patrolling your belief systems. It is walking around. It's roaming around freely in your belief system department, and it's picking out all the rigid ones, and it's going, right, this person here has a belief that they must never do wrong, and if they have done wrong in the past, they ought to be punished forever. Oh, what about this thing you may have done 5 years ago? Boom, locked on, not budging. That's it. Until you change that belief, until you start practicing changing that belief and apply persistence to it, which takes time, that OCD won't unlock. It won't unlatch there. If you have a belief that I must not be gay, and it would be the worst thing ever if I was gay, HOCD will lock on and it won't budge. It won't move. OCD doesn't just say, you know what, I've had enough. I've done my duty. I'll let you off now. Get on with your life. No, it won't budge. Because OCD knows the thing that you are scared of, and it detects it as a threat, so it locks on, trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe. It's doing a faulty job. So until you show it that it doesn't have to react in such a controlling way, then it won't unlock. You need to show yourself, hey, look, this actually isn't scary, and here's why. With consistent disputing work, help from the one-to-one calls, these videos, the books on our reading list. Okay, seeking the help from a coach to help you break that down on paper. Okay, if you have a belief that my life must go the way that I want it to go, and this present moment cannot be ruined, blink, 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 sensory motor OCD is going to latch. Existential OCD is going to latch. Right? Anything that could ruin the current moment. Fear is going to latch. But what is if you're stuck forever? What is if you never get to where you want to get to? What is if your life's ruined? Right? What is if you have a huge setback and you're always stuck and you never get to the desired place of recovery? And fear is going to play a huge part if that is your beliefs. I know you probably know all this as you're watching this video, but really think about what it takes to get better. If you're watching this video and you're scratching your head thinking, why am I still stuck, Sam? Take a look at those behaviours that you're doing that aren't helpful for you. Start off with your compulsions. Go away and think about the compulsions you're doing. What are you doing for relief? How are you trying to seek certainty? How are you trying to obtain relief? How are you trying to get rid of how you don't want to feel? Right? Really think, the last time you were triggered, what did you feel compelled to do? Did you try to seek reassurance? Did you try to confess? Did you try to Google? Did you try to mentally solve and analyse and replay and get to the bottom of something in your mind? All these compulsions that you're engaging with will be fueling the OCD cycle. Take a look at your avoidance behaviours. If you're sat there scratching your head thinking, why am I still stuck? But then you're avoiding everything, or avoiding just even subtleties, is a problem. Because the avoidance leads to control, because you're trying to control whether you get triggered, because you're avoiding being triggered. And then that is showing your brain that you are scared of something. So therefore OCD will not budge, it will not shift, and it will lock on hard, and it will not move. If you're scratching your head and thinking, why am I still stuck? Take a look at your irrational beliefs. Take a look at what you're scared of. Really think, why am I still stuck? Why does it feel like I'm hitting my head against a brick wall? What are you scared of? What are your beliefs around them? All the irrational beliefs that you're holding, the demands, the catastrophic thinking, the low frustration tolerance, the neverness, alwaysness beliefs, the undeserving, the self-downing, the life-downing, all these different irrational beliefs that one could be holding. Get them written down on paper, change them to rational beliefs. Do disputing exercises. Of course, I'm talking to the general audience here. If you're being excessive, you're disputing, of course, you'll have to balance it. This is why the one-to-one calls are important, because we'll tailor it for you, we'll custom make it for you, and the best approach for you. And because some people can go over the top, some people don't dispute at all. It's just finding that middle ground, finding that balance. But ultimately, if you're still stuck, your thinking's going to play a big part as well. Okay? So really think about this. The work required to get better, the discomfort required to sit with to get better. I cannot stress enough how much discomfort that all OCD sufferers have to sit with and wear and embrace in order to overcome OCD. You cannot recover the easy way. There is no light way to recovery. There's no comfortable way to recovery. And to get better, and anything worth having, like OCD recovery, will require real grit and determination and a shit ton of discomfort. And you can make progress in a short space of time, but we've got to see that you're on the right path. Otherwise, it's going to be a lifetime of just thinking, oh, why am I still stuck? And you're doing compulsions. You're still clinging on to irrational belief systems. Okay? It's important to really think, am I doing as much as I can do to recover? And it's important to reflect on that. Important to really think, am I willing to feel it all and drop all the control and let go of all the chasing certainty and needing to know this and needing to control that? Am I doing all I possibly can do to recover, or am I going in half-heartedly? I know people are going to watch this video and thinking, oh my God, am I not doing enough? I need to now bolt down recovery and get it all done now. No, we've got to take our time as well. It takes practice, it takes patience, it takes time. That's why the one-to-one calls are critical, because we'll look at that. But talking to the general audience here that really think, am I willing to feel it all discomfort? Am I willing to change my beliefs consistently? Am I willing to make a huge overhaul in my life structure and my habits and my behaviors to get to where I want to get to? Something to really think about. If you have liked this video, please leave a like. If you are interested in one-to-one calls, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and we can get you booked in as soon as we can on our schedules, so we can start your recovery journey today or continue your recovery journey and get the ball rolling to where you want to get to. Cheers, guys. Look after yourself, and bye-bye.